What's happening, guys? We are now live. How's it going?
Yeah, it's good. How's it going for everybody else?
Not bad for me.
Not too bad, thank you.
I'm awesome.
Duncan.
The chosen Wookiee.
Wait, 1 second.
You brought them? That's good. There's going to be some spicy hot takes tonight.
So if there's going to be any blunt comments, you'll hear a crisp break first, and then you will hear the comment. As Chase predicted. So, right. Let's jump into what we have been playing. Let's jump right into it. Tommy, go ahead.
Kind of the same actually for me last week. I've smashed a load of NBA 2K20 this week. For the first time, I actually managed to get online games, which is got to be a good sign that we are starting to grow the player base. I mean, I've had that game since launch, and I have never seen more than one other person in the neighborhood when I've been playing that game. So to have like 8 people running around, it's picking up, which is a good sign. Happy about that. And Dig too. Probably put about 4 or 5 hours into that now as well. Really enjoying that game actually. It's kind of a breath of fresh air for
Breast of fresh air.
Yeah, a breath of fresh air.
Just the one.
Yeah, it'd be awkward if it was 2.
I've been playing SteamWorld Dig 2 as well. I think I'm coming to the end of it. So I've been enjoying that as well. And I have been playing some Grid, and you can get multiplayer games on Grid, which is good. Crack or not. As people don't play the game right, but won't go there. And just ram you straight off the track, and then your whole race is ruined. And I was bad this week, and I loaded up my Xbox, my PlayStation, and I played the Final Fantasy VII demo. Oh my god!
I don't have a PlayStation, and I can't play it.
Yeah, somebody sent me the link to it. I was like, "Is this supposed to be funny?" Because it's not.
And it definitely whetted the appetite. It's the same but different. So it's really, really good. And I also switched on my Xbox, and I've been playing a lot of 2 Point Hospital.
Good game.
Yeah, for me it's been Assassin's Creed Origins, which, even though it's got nothing to do with the Assassin's Creed at all, it's still an amazing game. I'm going to keep on playing that until the end. And like Duncan and Tommy, Stream World 2.
Stream World or Steam World?
Steam World.
Duncan, is that what's playing behind you?
Yeah, it's on the Xbox.
Is it? Sacrilege.
Yeah, it's getting played on the Xbox at the moment. Kelly actually completed SteamWorld Dig on Stadia this week, and now she's going for some achievements there, so she's going for the Xbox now.
Fair enough. I actually jumped in for my first ever game of Spitlings. I've been meaning to do it for a while, but hadn't got round to it. I played with Eddie, Stadia Player 1, on his stream. We got stuck on the same level for about an hour. I was the troll phone as well, Duncan. I don't know if you noticed.
You're not allowed. No one's allowed to do that. That's mine.
I was the troll phone there. How's that for trolling?
Not good. Not good.
I didn't really have any other characters unlocked apart from the basic ones. And someone stole my ginger one, so I had to be something else. Other than that, nah. Other than that, what else have we been playing? I played a bit of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, trying to help my father-in-law out today because he got stuck on a bit, and I just come straight on and do it, which annoyed the hell out of him. So that was always funny. Other than that, I haven't really played too much. I've been working, so yeah.
Yeah. It's been I've probably gamed the most I have in a long time this week. I think I've stuck in about 30 or so hours, if not more, this week. So most of it's been on 2 Point Hospital. I really, really enjoyed that. I hope it comes to Stadia as well.
Feels
it'd be
like a
good.
perfect fit.
Yeah, because of the console and PC.
I also think it would be a game that would be fairly easy to get around on mobile as well.
Yeah, and I have to say, I was really shocked how easy the controls were on the controller. They work really, really well. So that would be a good game for Stadia because it'll have all the control schemes.
Yeah,
You smoking?
The touch Stadia would
The cop.
touch controls for it that are now available on Android. I think again that's the kind of game that design would work really well for. It's not a fast-paced game by any means, and I really hope that we see that kind of thing come to the market. Because again, for the more casual mobile-only players, that's going to be a great game for them to pick up.
Yep, and
I
this
honestly say I've never played it.
it is.
You played Theme Hospital back in the day, then you've played.
Yeah, then I played it. Fair enough. No, that takes me back. Theme Hospital, childhood days.
Yeah.
So, swiftly moving on to the topic of games, and we've had a few new game announcements in the past week. One of them we actually got tipped off ahead of time, if only by a couple of hours, and that was Relicta. So, have you guys had a chance to have a look at this yet and see what it's all about?
Yeah. For me, it looks amazing. It's like I've always been a fan.
You were going to swear then,
I
wasn't you?
was. I stopped myself. It's like I've always been a fan of the Portal games. They've even done like some fan-made spin-offs, which again, I played all of those. Amazing, and it reminds me a lot of that, even with your own little companion cube.
Isn't that the next game, not this one?
No, it's in this one.
Oh, maybe I'm just thinking because they're both very similar games, aren't they? Because I remember looking at Relicta and thinking like this would be perfect for like VR because you have your hands and you can do things with your hands.
Yeah, it's that ability to control. Is it magnetics that you have in the gloves? You can pull things around, and that's how you glide around. And I know when I had, I can't remember what it's called now, but when I had my Rift before the Quest, there is the multiplayer game in there where that is essentially what you do. You are pulling yourself through the environment to play different kinds of mini games like handball, I guess you would call it. There's no feet involved, but I just can't think what it's called off the top of my head now. But yeah, it's essentially that kind of thing. It's moving around an environment with only your hands, and it would be an interesting game to see in VR.
Here's a preview for anybody who's not seen it already. Obviously, there's no sound, but you can kind of get a feel for what's going on. Skip it forwards a bit.
Yeah, for me anyway, these two games, if these were up for pre-order, I would have had them pre-order because these are exactly the games I would play. I have played the Turing Test on PlayStation and Xbox, and I will be playing it again on Stadia, and we'll be getting it.
I see what you mean about the companion cube now.
Yeah, right there. Told you. I know my cubes.
Master of the cubes. Yeah, it's definitely something I'll check out. Any idea what the price range was? I think this is already out on other consoles, isn't it? So
I think this is going to be priced. I can't speak tonight. Priced pretty much exactly the same as Spitling, give or take maybe £2.
yeah, that and the Turing Test as well. I think there'll be similar prices.
I'm going to say 20 quid.
There we go. Prediction.
It's your fault if it's right.
60 quid.
We do now know that
Free
you
as pro.
are actually a secret mole for Google.
Of course I am. They love me so much.
He's not dressed as Chewbacca. He is secretly Maul.
Stadia Wookiee.
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely one I'm going to be keeping my eye out. And again, we kind of got a hint of that coming out a couple of hours before, but then Stadia went and surprised us with another game as well called the Turing Test, which is again it's another Portal-esque game that involves puzzles. Have you played it on any of the other previous? I think Duncan, you said you'd played it before.
Yeah, it's not a really long game. I think you can complete it in a couple of hours, as in 3 or 4 hours. It's not really that big, but I really did enjoy it. So if it's at the £20 mark, which I wouldn't be too surprised if it came in at that sort of range, it would, for me anyway, be a bit overpriced, tenner or under. I would be picking it up again.
Ash, have you had a chance to play this?
No, when this comes out, it'll be the first time I've played it. But again, just looking at the game itself, it does look pretty amazing.
I was going to say, these are your type of games, Ash. I'm surprised you haven't played this before.
I've heard about it in the past. It's just one of those where, at the time, I was playing Gary's mod quite a lot. So
Gary's mod, yeah, with the prop hunt. That
Yeah,
was made me
yeah.
laugh.
And interestingly, the point you made before about Portal, so Relicta has the mechanics of Portal, and this has the aesthetics, because I feel like both of these games have been made because of Portal. You could quite easily just stick the Portal gun in this game, and I'm pretty sure it would be essentially the same game.
Yeah, it's all the whitewashed walls of a
Yeah.
laboratory, isn't it, that kind of give it that Portal feel.
But
Oh, no,
I mean,
for
I'm not
sure.
going to complain about those, because those games are probably the best thing to come out of Half-Life ever.
Now all we need is Portal 3.
yes,
Not in VR. I've seen so many people ask for that game in VR. Like, no.
Has anybody ever modded a game of Portal to make it VR capable? Or
I would imagine so, and they probably didn't survive the experience.
yeah, it wouldn't be the greatest.
yeah, it
Imagine
would
when
be
you get
weird.
stuck in that loop of just falling.
What, from up above and down below?
Yeah.
Or it's that one where you put one on the wall there, one on the floor there, and you kind of you go
Yeah,
in and out, but the
constantly
camera
jump
kind of
through.
twists. That would fuck you up.
Yeah.
Oop.
and-
First expletive of the show. Goes
well,
to
now
me.
it's out of the way. Let's all chime in.
Whatever. I think we're all adults here, so
Pretty sure Duncan just said every swear word imaginable.
all I'm saying is listen to the song Family Reunion by Blink-182. I once had that printed on a T-shirt. I tried
yes.
to go into our local shopping centre and I got asked to remove it. I'm like, what, you want me to take my T-shirt off? Like, just walk around topless in the shopping centre. But
Yeah, the choice was to either take it off or turn it inside out.
But the thing is, they sold that exact T-shirt in the shopping centre, so it's like, why are you wanting me to take it off when you sold it me? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So-
that seems pretty stupid, actually, doesn't it?
You know what I mean? A kid just could walk into a shop and see it and buy it themselves, probably. So, but yeah. So moving on, then, probably one of the juicier topics this week was to do with the Division 2, and yeah, we kind of had a bit of a tough time with this one, didn't we, lads?
Yeah.
Because we found out some information about this before it was kind of public knowledge, and we were asked not to say anything, even when it then became public knowledge. But it's out there now, so we can talk about it. And that is obviously we've had like a release schedule for it, and the fact that it has cross-play and cross-save as well.
It's really going to. This is only the start. Just double checking our show notes here. No, we're not mentioning it, so I can say it now. This is also running into the Destiny 2 details, which are coming out, which looks like it's going to be going to cross-play as well. this is going to be really, really good for Stadia going forward if everything gets crossplay. So we've got the Division 2 here, probably Destiny 2, it looks like now. We've got Baldur's Gate 3 as well, got crossplay. This is really good, along with the cross save. So if you're playing on the PC, you can play on your funky PC and then just go onto your Stadia on your TV when you're going to bed or whatnot.
I was going to say, so I was trying to have a conversation with somebody who doesn't have Stadia, so it's always a difficult thing to do then anyway, but like the fact that we're starting to see the cross-play, the cross-save features be talked about now, my only thing that I took away from that though, and it's kind of a good point, is like, right, but if I play the Division 2 and I've been playing it since it launched, what's the purpose of me having cross-save on that game? Why would I stop playing it on whatever I'd already played it on to move to another platform where 95% of the player base are going to be playing it from the beginning for the first time, not going to know the game, and then you're going to have somebody jump in that's already max level? It's going to break the game for those people. And I'm an advocate of this happening. I just feel like it's a weird time for us to see it, with like the Division 2 potentially being the first game to do it here as well. I can't see a reason for somebody that's already played that game to that point to then come and play it on Stadia, unless it's purely, like you say, to play it on a TV at a different fidelity. Now, yes, that makes sense, but those people that jump in and can't find anybody even remotely level to them are probably going to have a poorer experience.
I think it's the element of choice, personally. I mean, obviously, I've done exactly that with Destiny. Don't get me wrong, Destiny was free. I probably might not have purchased it on Stadia had it not been free, and just probably carried on playing it on Xbox, or simply not at all. But I think it's the whole. If it's having that choice, because obviously one of the biggest things about Stadia is that you can move from screen to screen and you can play it pretty much wherever you wanted. So for most people, they might continue to play it on their platform of choice, whether it be Xbox or PC or whatever. But then if they ever so wanted to take that to, let's say they're staying in a hotel room and they wanted to carry on playing there, they could just switch to Stadia. Or it might be someone is just looking for a reason to get rid of their Xbox and jump purely to Stadia, which some people have. And now obviously they can take that game with them and they're not going to lose anything. So I think it's just having the choice. But I do agree with you. It seems a bit weird that they would bring it kind of halfway through a game's life cycle. It kind of needs to be there from the beginning, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that was like, I mean, I don't have a problem with it happening at all, and I purposely didn't play the Division 2 when it released because I knew my PC wasn't going to give me the optimal experience for playing it, whereas that is a moot point now because I am going to get the optimal experience to play it. And that's why it's a game I am looking forward to playing. I did enjoy the first one, and I really hope that it is well received and that we get a decent number of people playing it, because it's definitely a game that is better with people.
I think if you buy it on, sorry, I'm only going to be quick. So I think if you obviously buy it on Stadia, it's it might be a case that if you've got crossplay, you can play it with people that are still on other platforms as well.
Yeah.
So again, it's just having that choice, and I think what I worry most about is there going to be any difference if you're playing competitively, for example, we mentioned Destiny 2, is there going to be some difference between people playing it on PC? Are they going to be a split second faster than me?
This is something that me and Duncan were a part of sort of earlier on, and it gave me a chance to voice that opinion again, where how awesome would it be for all of the memes that we've had about the input lag and latency and so on to all of a sudden see games that have a competitive edge and crossplay, and we start seeing that actually Stadia as a platform has a slight advantage over the rest, purely based on that fact that the processing of any input doesn't pass through anything until it hits the data center. It just goes to the router and gone down the pipeline.
I'd be happy with just the same latency, to be fair.
Oh, absolutely. I just think it would be
Or
hilarious
not
if we
noticeable.
now turned around and seen that after all of that, we actually start seeing that everything else has a higher input lag than Stadia. It would be fantastic. It's probably not going to happen. I think it will be as good as everything else. But if you just started seeing that Stadia logo next to, like, consistently next to the top of the leaderboards, I just can't wait to see what happens to the memesters.
Yeah, for me, I played the original Division, but I got it free with my graphics cards. Before then, I never once batted an eyelid towards any of the Tom Clancy games, just because they never really interested me. Got the Division, played it. It was actually a lot better than I thought it'd be. So as soon as the Division 2 is out, then yeah, I'm definitely going to have to get it and give it a go.
What I think we might be actually seeing here is preempting what's happening, or what should be happening, touch wood, if everything goes to plan in the autumn, the new consoles. It could be just setting it up so if you go from Xbox to PlayStation, it's just setting the. I don't think Stadia is really part of the conversation for that. It's just an extra wee thing. It's maybe just setting it up for further down the line. So if you move from Xbox to PlayStation or PlayStation to Xbox, just that sort of thing. And Stadia is just part of that now.
See, I've always wondered why cross save is that difficult for people. Surely it can't be. It's just you know what I mean? It's a dump, like an export and an import of data from one place to another. Cross play, on the other hand, is a different story altogether. But cross save, it must be easy to implement into your game, especially if you've built it with that in mind.
And whatever the differences are, they're not going to be that vast that it requires an awful lot of coding. I mean, realistically, you should be able to write up a fairly concise method that was able to deal with that. And if not, then there's something broken in the way that it saves data, I think, anyway.
I think it's actually just the platform is just trying to trap you onto that, and they don't want you moving from platform to platform. But now, because of the way everything's going now, they have to.
Yeah, it's been going platform agnostic for quite a while now, hasn't it? I mean, even things like Minecraft, you know what I mean? The fact that it's on, obviously it's a Microsoft game, but it's on all the other platforms as well, because they bought it knowing that it was on other platforms and they couldn't take that away. So rather than punish the other platforms, they decided to embrace them, and it showed that it could be done. We can have, you know, cross-play and cross-save and all integrated platforms with one another. So people expect to see it now.
Remember the days of taking your memory card round to your mate's house so that you could load up their save? It's crazy now, and that you can literally just fly across the world with nothing other than your laptop, and it's just connect and go, yep, everything's exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Or log into somebody else's account and play their games for them.
Like me.
Yes.
He actually came down this time, so he cooked us tea in our own kitchen, so can't complain too much. So in other news then, Mafia 3. Now,
I don't know if I'm excited about that.
Some people are and some people aren't. I've seen mixed reception online, to be fair. But for those of you who don't know, ESRB, which is a ratings board website, it was shown that the Mafia 3 and its DLC would be coming to Stadia as well. So I think that's seeing that on there for the first time is actually kind of opened our eyes up as people that keep our eyes open to news to look in that area to get a glimpse of what might be upcoming. I don't know if you guys have been having a sneak peek on there like I have very often, or...
Yeah, and it's also worth looking at pretty much anything Spanish as well, because they are consistently dropping bombs for Stadia. I've seen unfortunately, it was something that we'd already seen, but I can't remember what it was now. But somebody, oh, actually, I think it might be you, Duncan. Did you post a Spanish comment and ask if anybody spoke Spanish?
Oh,
And it just stated-
that was about the division.
yeah. And again, it's just like they have a different group of people that work over there that just don't actually care about whether or not they give information away.
So there you have it. There's the Mafia 3 and the Sign of the Times DLC as well. Coming to Stadia.
I'm not surprised it's coming across because from all reports, it didn't sell too well. So they're maybe trying to get some extra sales along in Stadia. It doesn't excite me. It all depends on the price. Price matters.
This is a game that I got with my previous GPU, and I played like the introduction, the first mission, and then I uninstalled the game. And that was a big shock for me because Mafia, especially the original Mafia, was probably, or still is, definitely in my top 10 of favourite games I've ever played. Mafia 2 was not so much, but Mafia 3 was a very different game. It was a lot more modern, and I think that's where it lost a lot of the sort of the magic of the first two games. They've done a really good job of giving you that kind of gritty mafia city, whereas the third one is you just come out of war and you're a soldier that's just dealing with family stuff. And I don't know, it felt like it was pushed upon you a lot more than a believable sort of growing up in the 30s, 40s and experiencing Italian America.
Didn't the earlier Mafia games you had to go around collecting like playing cards, we will call them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I played that on live many years ago.
It's like when they released The Godfather as well. That was a terrible game on the Xbox.
I actually enjoyed that.
Don't subscribe to One to Escape.
Yeah, for me, the experience was similar to you, Tommy. I bought this game though, played about a third of it, and then again, it just got boring and wasn't as fun as they made it out at first. So, again, uninstalled.
Yeah, it's just. I'd be interested actually. I know it's a slight sidetrack, but just to see from your point of view, Duncan, what was it about that game that you liked?
Which one? Mafia 3?
No, Godfather. Sorry.
I just enjoyed it because I enjoyed the books and the films. So I was really into that. And to be fair, I'm not a big GTA fan. So I know it was like GTA Light, even if you recall it even liked. So I wouldn't say it was the greatest game in the world. It's one of them, maybe a guilty pleasure sort of game, or I could just chill out to.
Never played them. I can honestly say I've never played them either. But I think one of the things that Stadia is encouraging me to do is to play some of the games that maybe I have missed. And that's why I don't tend to mind too much that they're older games. I know a lot of people are on the fence about that one, but it's an opportunity for me to go back and play these games, which I've never played. Because before Stadia, I had my genres and my you know what I mean? I can't think of the word now. Yeah, I mean, I had my specific games that I stuck to, and I very rarely ventured outside of them. I just played the hell out of the ones I did like. So I'm actually enjoying kind of stepping outside of my bubble a bit more and playing something that maybe I wouldn't have before. I don't know about you guys. I'm still waiting for Bite Biz My Horse and Me 3 to come out of Stadia, so
give it time.
I will play that.
Another quick question for all three of you guys. What's the worst game you've ever bought?
Now you're asking.
I can tell you a game mentioned before, which I bought and I returned within half an hour, which Final Fantasy 12. I just did not like it.
It's essentially the same as what I done with Skate 3. I went and bought that game with a mate, got home, installed it, played the first probably hour or so of it, and we both took it back. And it was just, that series was such a good series, and then they just give it to somebody else. Clearly, it was a different game, and it was horrendous.
Yeah, for me it was Max Payne 3.
And
Don't
there's,
even try it.
and there was also this like Sonic Smash game I played.
You say that, right? But I recently got asked to do an interview by someone. I was just happening upon one of my spam email addresses that I don't really give out to anyone before, but it was actually one of the ones I included in the game. And he wanted to interview me and ask me loads of questions about this game. I made it 12 years ago. It's just come out of nowhere asking. And then if you go on YouTube, there's actually people still playing it to this day. And it's just amazing. Like, I never thought something that I made, which I thought was rubbish, to be fair, is people are still playing it to this day. But
Should monetize it quick.
I can't. I don't even have the source files to go back and edit it now if I wanted to. So
You could have been a millionaire.
I've got some, but it's the files that I've got are so far back that I'd have to go and redo it. If you
Reinstall
know
Windows
what I mean.
95.
Yeah, 3.1, mate. But can I include a game that was bought for me
Yeah, definitely.
because I was a kid and couldn't buy my own games at the time? Have you ever heard of a game called Zero Divide?
Yes. Unfortunately.
Just to give people a taste of what I mean. This game.
I always
It's
used
a lot-
to have that dragon thing on the end. The pink one.
But yeah, it's obviously it's a lot like Tekken and Street Fighter and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
so that's the kind of gameplay we're talking about now. What it was, it's a case of I think one weekend my mum bought me this game, right? And I'd been wanting, I think it was Resident Evil 2 or something like that for absolutely ages. And my mum bought me that game. And she thought she'd done well. She thought, you know what I mean, she'd actually bought me a game that I was going to be really impressed with. And, you know what I mean, what kid doesn't like a new game, if you know what I mean? And then when I played it, and I was just like, what the hell is this, Mum? Do you know what I mean? She says, I thought you'd like it. It's fighting. You like robots and you like fighting. You play that other fighting game, Tekken. And I'm just like, but I wanted Resident Evil 2. Like, and in the end, we found it at a car boot sale. Someone had played it and didn't like it, so they put it in a car boot sale. So I ended up getting it for like half the price of what it actually was in the shops. So all's well that ends well. But yeah, I had to play that for a good few weeks. But that was my worst game I've ever bought or had bought for me.
You know it's bad as well when you can go back to that time and pick a game like that, and that's stuck with you until your adult life.
It haunts me. Sometimes I just wake up in the night and I'm like, oh my god, that game.
By the way, it's coming to Stadia next week.
No graphical update.
Yeah, just as is. Now, so I'll extend that question to you as well then. Well, a question to you guys. And that is, thinking back to games that old.
Your mic's gone.
Yeah, you've got
Is
me.
it?
Yeah, you're back now.
That's it. Okay. Like, what if you had to go back to that kind of era? So we're talking PlayStation 1, even Mega Drive. What games would you like to see on Stadia if they were going to be coming to Stadia?
Ren and
from that
Stimpy.
era?
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that on the Mega Drive. So that has to be on this. A mix between that and Rugrats in Search of Reptar on PS1.
Oh, memory lane.
It was fun as a kid.
Tommy, what about you? GoldenEye. Aren't they remaking that?
Unofficially, it's nothing. It's the guy that was originally doing it and then was getting hounded with lawsuits to cease and desist. I think they lifted it in the end, and I think it will be licensed, obviously, because it will be made properly. But to me, if I just look back throughout my whole childhood of gaming, I think that was the first game that I ever played that was competitive. Like, obviously we didn't have online capability at this time, so it was a case of very much like our window looks right now. You split a tiny screen into 4,
Wait.
and it was never an issue. Like, I don't remember like cheating being a thing. Yeah, there we go.
It's like that, isn't it? So.
Oh, please.
I'm just going to hold that there.
It's loaded and shoots on the face.
I'm just going to run around and play first-person shooter. It is a BB gun, by the way. It's not actually a real gun.
Where's the ginger tip?
But
it's right there in front of you. It's got a hat on.
Reload.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Now it's loaded.
That's where it ricochets and gets me in the arm.
So if I just hold that down the bottom,
That just reminds me.
shooter.
I don't know if anybody else has seen it, and I don't know what it's called. Have you heard about that Twitch streamer that's been suspended? He's partnered with Twitch, and he accidentally shot his gun on a live stream through his own monitor.
Does that mean I'm going to get banned because I fired a BB gun on stream? Chase is probably going, "Oh, damn, what are you doing, man?"
Oh, don't get it back here. I'll try and reel everything back in here. This is actually me bringing it off topic here. My game would be Megalomania, which I'm not sure many people will know. That was on the Mega Drive. I was on the Amiga. It's like a god game, and one of my favorite games ever. One for pure Stadia reasons would be Destruction Derby on like the PlayStation. Could you imagine that? Full hundreds of people going around on Stadia.
For me, it'd just be the Sonic the Hedgehog games from the Mega Drive. It's got to be all-time favorites. Like I said, I've said in a past stream, Club Stadia is not the only one that likes Sonic the Hedgehog. So to me, that would be I'll buy those games if on every platform ever. You know what I mean? PlayStation 7, I will buy Sonic the Hedgehog if that comes out still. If you got something for us there, Tommy.
Yeah, I have it.
Oh, might have to edit that bit out.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So, yeah, moving swiftly on. Stadia, the new studio that they've announced in Playa Vista, which is in California. So, short of Duncan going to work for Google, as has been suggested hundreds of times by many people, we've got a new studio coming out, which is going to be focusing on Stadia exclusive games, and it will be run by Shannon Studstill, who is has worked on such franchises as God of War. Let me just get it up on the screen for anybody that wants to know what she looks like slightly. So what do you guys think of this?
It's absolutely awful news, this.
Because they didn't offer it you.
Oh, exactly.
I think this is a big flex, if I'm honest. I think the people that have been in charge of the roadmap that didn't want to share very much with us at this stage, this is really a way for them to just go, here you go, guys. Look, we told you that we've got this covered. It's just we're going at our pace. I think the thing that everyone's asked for a long time is tell us everything, give us everything now, and they've never sort of quivered under that pressure, but clearly they've had plans because they came out of that. By the way, we've got 120 games coming to Stadia this year, and literally every week we're getting like, here's another 4 games, here's another 2 games. Have these games on Pro when it launches, and it's clearly a nod that they are getting some exclusive titles built. Now, I think this will mean that we're obviously going to be years down the line from this. If we've just got the knowledge that this studio is in existence, we're not going to see anything this year, we're not going to see anything next year from them. But that following year, you can probably expect a big game to be dropping, something that will be different. I don't think I don't know if you guys have watched the Glorious Stadia podcast, the new one, where they were talking about it, and I think it was actually Chase himself that had mentioned that he feels it could be the big MMO. I have a feeling this is actually going to be more a single player story experience, a narrative game, but something big along the lines of a God of War, but obviously not God of War. Something different, but at least I hope it is. I would love to see that Stadia was getting some kind of games that don't exist anywhere else, that are built purely for this brand new platform. Although I do think it'd kind of be a waste to have a studio like that work on a purely single-based game with the features that we know that you can have in Stadia. But yeah, I just think we're going to see first-party big titles start coming from these studios.
What to keep a lookout for is Stadia. I think we've got a studio going to be coming in London, and there may be something coming in Munich if you go by the job listings. There's lots of jobs in London, and there's a fair number in Munich, so this isn't going to be the only ones. And I'm pretty sure they're starting to wrap up their stuff in Japan as well.
Yeah, I think with... Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say along with Amazon, but we're not going to talk about Amazon because Amazon have stepped up their job hunting significantly over the last wee while.
See, I think with the news of the new studio coming about, that it's got huge potential. And like you said, Tommy, that with all the games that could be coming out, I think that would definitely be amazing for Stadia. We've seen quite a few people from different gaming companies transfer across, so who knows what will happen.
I think when it comes to this type of studio, Stadia almost need to have their own Master Chief or like a mascot game that they can show off.
Every platform needs to have that one thing that is very clearly them. It's the branding around that. Like you say, Xbox, Microsoft have Master Chief, and granted, those games have not done so well in the later stages, but anybody that had an Xbox or an Xbox 360 had Halo in one form or another. And I mean, I would dare to say that PlayStation is probably God of War. I mean, The Last of Us is another clear blockbuster title for them, but that's a single game, whereas God of War is a franchise that spanned a long period of time. Nintendo
Uncharted.
has Mario. Yeah, Uncharted again. Yeah, that's a good
Crash Bandicoot.
good example.
So you don't have to just have one solitary one. You can have like Crash Bandicoot as another. You know what I mean? Lara Croft was PlayStation mascot at the time, but I think Stadia just needs to have that one kind of franchise that sets them apart. And I think now is the good time to start doing that. I don't think we're going to see like multiplayer games on the scale of like Destiny or Call of Duty coming from these platforms.
No,
especially when obviously the people working for them are not new to gaming, but I don't think, if you look at the background, they tend to be for more single player games rather than multiplayer games. So
this brings me back to my point. I am definitely under the impression that Stadia has launched a year too early. I think they have been rushed into it. I don't think they thought the Xbox and PlayStation were going to be coming out this year. I think they thought it was next year. because as you know, all these studios take the time to get developed, and this is why everything feels so hot on Stadia. A lot of the time, there's still no messaging, there's still no basic features still on it. So I think we're going to be getting a big title off them next year, or a reasonably big title, the first big show-off title next year rather than 2 years' time. Because I just think they're a year ahead of themselves.
That's interesting, because I always thought that April was going to be when they wanted to launch for the founders. I thought the idea would be that April is when we get it, and then towards the end of this year is when they look to open it to everybody else around that sort of full time. But hearing you say it that way, I can quite clearly see the argument for that as well.
So
Swallow the fly.
yeah, it's just going back. I just think they were just they tried to just get ahead of everything, and they've just pushed it out too early. And I think it may have been April this year. They may have been trying to go, but they've definitely launched it earlier than they have wanted to launch it.
So I don't know whether you guys keep up with what's going on in the Discord, but Victor Del Mastro, he posted something about Stadia is bombing so badly that Google has given away free pro subscriptions. Now, I've only watched the first introduction to that video. I was looking more at the comments, and I think we've mentioned it in a previous episode about the amount of hate that Stadia gets from the general population. And it's just a cesspool of people slagging Stadia off in the comments. But one of them stood out to me, and that is we need to get away from this whole idea of releasing a product before it's ready and then fixing it later. And I think that is kind of what Stadia have done. I mean, the fact that we were missing so many features at launch, it just kind of... I would have rather have waited a few months extra for it to have been released with these features than not have them at all. I don't know about you guys, but it just seems to be the case with everything at the moment. Release and then worry about it later.
Yeah, and there's been a trend in that, I think, in the industry last 3 years, I would say. I feel like games are expected not to work when you get them now. They're expected that you get it on day one and you can play the real game a month or so later. And I think that's a publisher issue probably more than anything else, because once that date's set, they just do not want to move it. And I feel bad for Red Dead was a perfect example of this, right? When we seen how much of an issue the crunch was for people in that. There was quite a lot of press around that crunch specifically, when we kind of know that generally if you work in this industry, that is just something that is a part of your day-to-day life. You are going to get towards that release date and you're not going to go home for 2 weeks. You are just going to sit there and get that game ready to go. And like Riot games are another one that are supposed to be really, really bad, especially if you're a girl. But it's nice to see kind of the culture shift with the indie sort of focus that we have at the moment with Stadia. Obviously, indie developers don't have the same levels of pressure as the AAA titles. And I think if you can breed that in, then there's a good chance that the new studios that come on board for first party kind of things will hopefully be a little bit nicer as well.
See, for me, I don't mind the fact that it's not got the basic features just yet. Just because when it was launched for founders, we did know it was essentially an early access thing. Even in the app, it did say either early access or something like that, which I've just had a look, it's not there now. Which, when it's based, that's when all the features will be out by.
I'm going to disagree with you slightly here, Tommy, as not a shock. I like... having firm release dates or semi-firm release dates. Maybe need some Viagra for that, and actually
You can
helps.
get it over the counter now.
Yeah, you seem to be the expert, so actually focuses minds. Yes, crunch is bad, crunch is awful, but it also focuses mind, because if there is no firm or some sort of date in mind, things just drift and they never get done. And for these big companies, they can't allow that. Indie games, yes, are completely different sort of kettle of fish, because that's basically them. They can go as long as they can, or how long they can afford to go for it. But for the big companies, they have to have the dates for their shareholders to make their money. So there will always be crunch, whether you like it or not.
But that lends to, from my point of view, that lends to more player issues. So yes, the shareholders and the stakeholders just want their money, but if we had an industry that worked more on giving people an actual finished product, they'd probably make more money in the long run than what they get out of the initial sales.
Fortnite launched already nothing on it, and they just constantly crunch on it, and they're making an absolute ton of money on it.
Yeah, I disagree with that though, because when that game launched, multiplayer wasn't even a thing. It was co-op only, wasn't it? They developed the multiplayer side of it purely because of
and they crunched
player unknown.
And they crunched it, and that's how they got the continuing to do it.
Interesting.
So I just want to touch on what Eddie said here. As a developer, I should know about agile software development. So I mean, you're right in that respect, Eddie. I mean, I too have obviously released things on the website, for example, which aren't 100% complete yet, and I've got features in the works that aren't here just yet that people expect us to have. So you are right, but I think when it comes to the promises that you make, you know what I mean, the things with my website, for example, that aren't there or aren't working, I always try and be transparent about them and say, you know what I mean, this is what to expect. I set an expectation ahead of time, and these companies obviously set an expectation and then go against it. Tell us what features weren't going to be there at launch. Tell us when you can expect to have them. One thing I personally get sick of when I'm trying to defend Stadia to certain people is for them to turn around and say, well, yeah, but it doesn't have this feature or that feature that it said it would have. And then you say, well, it's coming. And they go, well, when? And I don't have an answer for them. So yeah. I think transparency is key, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you shouldn't ever... And again, I was just highlighting the comment that was made in this video, not by me. I said that I kind of agree with it, not 100%, but I think we just need to get away from this trend of just kind of doing whatever the hell you want and not being transparent about it.
Do we have to stand up now? Since we're talking about agile, do we have to stand up?
Yeah, I'll program like this. Just transparency is key. Just be transparent with us and just be honest. If one of the things I liked about some of the game delays we've had recently, and I think softened the blow, is just that the developers came to us and said, this is what's happening and this is what we aim to do. We're sorry, but that's the way it is. And in order to give you a better product in the long run, this is what we've got to do to get that.
Waterfall has a lot of issues.
What I was going to say here, they are definitely working in sprints. Is everybody aware of agile and all that sort of carry on, or roughly? Yeah, because their features always seem to drop on a Wednesday/Thursday for us, where the soil start making out. So that's when their sprints obviously end. Who wants to explain this? Because I'm awful explaining it, as my feel on my board clearly said.
Quite often the way to do it as well, though, because obviously if you work on an agile principle and then you wait until the end of the week, you're kind of on the back foot as soon as you start again on Monday. You've had 2 days of not dealing with anything, and then you've got to catch up again. So a midweek sort of reference point is a better way to do it, and then you've got 2 days to work, 2 days off, 2 days to work, and then you give the update at that point. I very nearly had a job within the NHS digital team as a developer, and they were in the process of transitioning to Agile. And just speaking with some of the people there, that job must be hell, because they get a project and they don't talk to anybody else. They just work on their project alone until that specific part is finished. Then they get together with the other stakeholders and they all discuss how their part has gone. Then they make plans on how to fix it and change it. It's just, that's an archaic way of working, and you cannot do that in today's day and age unless you have an unlimited time frame to get that said thing done. I mean, this wasn't any kind of critical isn't probably the right word. The things they were working on were not patient information or anything like that. This was purely just using some back end systems, and it was enough to kind of scare me. I was just like, yeah, I can't work like that. That's not happening for me.
So Random Noob says, as a long-time user of Google products, I never expect them to be complete. Google is known for developing products based on user feedback, etc. You have a point, yeah. But I think also when it comes to Stadia, I think Google are dealing with a different kettle of fish, because we've talked about it in the past. Gamers are a different class of people. We expect things to be as they are promised, and we expect them to be on time, whereas your average user probably doesn't even think about these things. If it was just a random app, for example, on the App Store, or a product on the web, most people, it's out of mind until one day they go, oh, okay, this is now live. You know what I mean? They don't really try to hype it up as much. They don't have trailers for it. They don't have, you know what I mean, connects for it. Or if they do, it's kind of, here's what it is, but there's a different type of hype around it, is what I'm trying to say. So yes, them obviously working on user feedback is a good thing, because it makes the product better in the long run. But at the same time, just again, like I said, just be transparent about it. Tell us what to expect. Set that expectation, and then we can't be disappointed.
Since you just started talking about apps, I wanted to bring this up here. We're talking about Tommy mentioned earlier about getting games on NBA. The Stadia app has now finally passed 500 downloads on
500.
500? Well, it does feel like that sometimes.
That'd be embarrassing, wouldn't it? That we're like almost 1% of the player base is in this podcast.
Yes.
That's why I keep getting matched with the same people on Destiny 2 as well.
Damn it.
I will rephrase, 500,000 downloads, which is a significant step up now. So we're going to be approaching close to 1 million players soon. So this wee deal which has been going on, where people have been getting, this is where this all started, wasn't it? The deals, giving away the codes is working, and it's a really good thing. It's getting people to actually download the app.
But on the flip side, it's also giving a Stadia a bad name, because it's almost like Google are trying to give it away to people.
To be honest, I think the tweet on Friday night was worse than this. The tweet where they wanted to spell the name out and they couldn't do the I, and I'm just sitting there, palms in head going.
I'm trying to think what games begin with I could possibly be coming out.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Like
it was good fun. It was. I could see what they were trying to do, but you go on message boards, you go on Twitter, you can go, you absolute numpties for sending that tweet.
Hence why you need to apply for that job.
Like I said, I could see why they thought it was a good idea. It was a bit of fun. I could see a lot of people joined in. Tommy, you joined in, didn't you?
Yeah, I had the same issue, obviously.
Yeah, but it was like, you're drawing the attention to the fact you don't have many games. So why are you doing this?
Yeah. I at first when I first saw it, I was thinking, what games could be possibly coming out? What are they trying to tease that begins with I?
I tell you what,
But
they
I
could
couldn't
have
think of
gone
anything,
for.
so-
I would love to see the Quantic games make their way onto Stadia, and then they could have gone for, depending on where you are in the world, Indigo Prophecy. That's another one of games that I probably wouldn't rate it so high if I actually went back and played it now, but at the time, that was a game that really kind of changed the way I looked at games. Something that was that story driven and that narrative that you actually felt invested in the game. It's just a shame that the guy that owns the studio is a bit of a dick to work for by all accounts.
I know it's be controversial. A lot of the best people are. The people at the top of the thing, there's a lot of them are complete and other Stadia arcades.
I was about to say Duncan's then, so you beat me to it.
So speaking of obviously features that have come to Stadia, Stadia captures and potentially 4K streaming. I think the last one's a bit up in the air at the moment. Some people seem to be hitting it, some people don't. But in particular, the Stadia captures, that's obviously confirmed and is working as we speak. So have you guys had a chance to go through and delete all your accidental captures?
I haven't, purely because there's 500 until I have to worry about it. I think I've only used about 60 odd so far. But I did have a chuckle while going through and seeing generally most of them tend to be just before a point where I could see that I'd want to hit a pause menu. Especially playing NBA, I'm just like, I can see that I'm in the proceeds of celebrating something, and then I've got the capture, but not whatever it was. So yeah.
I had a wee look at some absolute random ones from me. Like me being a complete tool and dying spectacularly normally. My only slight thing, I was trying to upload mine to Twitter, but it didn't actually let me do it. I'm using an app on Apple here. So I was just trying to just drag it across to drop it in because I can do it with other things, but I wasn't liking it. So that's just a minor wrinkle with the videos.
Has anybody had any issues watching videos?
And no, I've been able to put mine into 4K or 1440 for Destiny. Destiny's only coming up as 1440p.
I was trying it probably about half an hour before we'd done this show, actually, or started the show, sorry. I couldn't get a single video capture to play. It just buffered and buffered and buffered to the point where I even restarted my computer and tried again, and the same thing was happening. So I don't know whether or not maybe it's maybe they're doing something with the server load because all the images were working perfectly. Because I actually tried to take one to post to the Guild, and I ended up just having to use a still instead. But yeah, I have seen a few people on Twitter talking about it though, saying that they can access all of their stills, but they can't view. They can download and watch them, but they can't view their videos live.
I'm trying as we speak. Yeah. There you go, look.
Just me.
Me and my friend Smad
You and your
touching our cocks. Yeah, so that works for me. So just you.
So since we're doing IT terms, so what we're saying, it's a picnic problem.
A picnic problem.
Yeah,
that's just an Irish thing.
Problem in no, it's a well-known one. A problem in chair, not in computer.
I've never heard of it. It can't be that well known.
Yeah,
you need to get out.
See, that's where you're going wrong. That's not what you do when you're in that world. Stay inside in the dark.
Well, we all know that Google have obviously they tend to roll things out. So maybe you're getting a new feature ahead of everybody else, Tommy. That's why you can't view them.
Yeah, the new feature is you can't view your own content.
It's just a mystery.
Well, maybe the fact that I can view them is I've got it ahead of you.
Yeah, that's probably more than likely.
But yeah, someone mentioned they couldn't update it to Twitter. It was you, Tommy, wasn't it?
Duncan. That way.
Oh, Duncan, sorry. Yeah, that way. Have you it exports them as WebMs?
Yeah, I exports them as WebM, so I was just trying
Can
to
you
drag
upload
it.
WebMs to Twitter?
You can.
Because they're not
I'm-
traditional video formats, are they?
I'm using my Mac app, so I was just trying to drag it across to my wee Twitter app instead of the actual web Twitter.
See, I noticed that most of the video captures don't go above 100 meg. And I don't know if we know the answer to this question yet, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Now, let's say I drop my quality settings to really, really low, as low as they can be. My game's blocky, you know what I mean? I'm having real trouble here streaming, and I hit that capture button, right? Does the capture come from the obviously unhindered video stream at Google?
Yes. It comes from the server instance, not from what you're seeing.
So you're always going to get the highest quality, even though...
That's a good question. What happens if you're not in Pro?
Well, would you get 4K capture, you mean?
Yep, because you're not paying for it.
That's a good point.
I'm sure we'll
Because
have somebody do some testing.
I would imagine that the instance is still going to be running at 4K 120 frames per second. But would they downscale it to send that to your account? That seems like more work than is required purely for a still.
And then that adds the question as well as, you know, when they bring out live streaming to YouTube, if you're not on Pro, will they allow you to output a stream that's 4K to your live stream?
I'm not sure they're going to allow that anyway.
Well, just because it's too much data.
No, I
Yeah.
think they'll allow it on Pro. I don't think it'll be allowed in Base. I think it's going to be a Pro feature.
Yeah, I think you're probably right on that one.
I wonder if they're going to
So,
introduce another level at some point, like a streaming
Ultra Pro.
subscription. Yeah.
No, I don't see them doing that, but I do see them wrapping it up in YouTube Premium.
Well, yeah, because we're already starting to see that, right? Like essentially their version of Twitch Prime, where you can you can give a free sub to a channel.
Yeah,
They're doing that already with YouTube Premium, aren't they? It allows you to join
Yeah.
somebody.
so I think that's going to be.
Stadia Source when we allow it.
Yep. That is definitely the way they're going. It's going to be they're going to team it up, and I think they're maybe going to do it when you can play YouTube Music in Stadia, because you know that's on their magic board.
What whilst you're playing?
Random Noobs added a comment that we might want to throw up there as well.
If you start on a non-4K display, the capture is 1080p 60. Is that the one you're on about?
Yes. As far as I was aware, I don't know about the video capture, but as far as I was aware, the stills are always in 4K.
I have captures from the Chromecast Ultras that are 4K, etc. while games started on the Chromebook are all captured at 1080p.
Put it in right there. Maybe that's because they knew it was on a browser at that time. Does it happen now?
That's another good point.
Yeah, I'm sure someone will do some sort of testing on like Reddit or whatever. Maybe we could do some testing at some point.
That sounds like something we should be doing.
Yeah. Amongst everything else as well. So, yeah, obviously 4K streaming. So some people are saying that they're getting that on the Chrome browser now. Have you guys been able to confirm that on your end?
I don't have a 4K monitor, so I
Monitor.
don't believe I even get the ability to see it. Yeah, have a quick look now, though. I haven't actually checked. I am set to best performance at the moment because I was last playing on my Chromecast.
For
See,
me,
my-
I'm on a 4K Mac, so it has not worked for me as yet. But the Mac screen is a weird format, so it might not be picking it up as 4K.
I think my
Yeah,
father
you
has a
have-
4K screen, so I could probably test it on there at some point.
Aren't the 4K Max like 4.5K native? It's something silly like that.
Yeah, it's a weird format. So it is when I'm playing some stuff, it goes into it really looks weird at times.
Yeah, it's like for me, I'm on a MacBook 2012. Or live in the past. But yeah, even for me on the connection settings, it doesn't say what it's being streamed to me as.
And on mine, it's not showing 4K in browser.
Mm.
Yeah, I've not hit it personally either, so yeah, I have to do a bit more research on that one. So on the topic of Stadia captures, then I'm going to bring that up. So I don't know if anybody's aware, but Stadia Source and Generation Stadia are going to be collaborating on some sort of like highlight reel. Where people can send us their captures from Stadia, whether it be a picture or a clip of them playing. It could be something funny. It could be them kicking ass in Destiny 2. It could be anything. Just send it to us. We'll pick from the best ones, and we're going to be doing some sort of like highlight reel. We're not quite sure, how often we're going to be doing it, and we've not worked out the ins and outs yet of where it's going to be hosted and what have you. But I will say that there may be potentials for prizes as well for the best captures. So definitely
letter from
check that
Duncan.
one out. Duncan will unsubscribe from your channel. Subscribe and then
Who says if it's subscribed?
you'll subscribe and then unsubscribe from your channel. So you can send them into submissions@stadiasource.com. And also, if you give me 1 second, I will get you the address that you need to send it to Generation Stadia. So you can send it to both of them or just one of them, and we will make sure we get them. We were going to have a web form as well on stadiasource.com for you to upload your captures there. However, I've spent nearly a full day trying to get the feature working, and it sends pictures absolutely fine, and it sends probably up to about 50 meg videos absolutely fine, but for some reason it just does not let you upload Stadia clips because they are probably about 80 or 90 megabyte in size. So I think we're going to have to abandon that one, unfortunately. It won't let me change that address. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to update this address for you now. I should have had it ready, but there you go, jens.clips@gmail.com as well. You can also send your captures into that one.
Don't worry, Eddie, you don't miss anything.
So, yeah, that's going to be an exciting feature. It'll be good to kind of see people playing Stadia and having fun.
I just got on what that even was. It's so subtle that it just went straight past me.
Me too. So I think that pretty much wraps up everything that we wanted to talk about in this episode today. So if it's all right with you guys, I just wanted to kind of go through the comments and then see what people have been saying, anything that we've missed. How Have you increased the PHP max upload size, etc. on the server? I know it sounds silly, but often overlooked. Yes, I have tried everything to change the max upload size. I've even tried because at the moment Stadia Source is between 2 servers, and I've tried it on both, and both won't let me do it. I've even tried setting it in a htaccess file. I'm guessing you know what I'm talking about, Random Noob, if you know what the max upload size is. I've also tried to change it in the PHP itself, and it's still just not. Literally, the script just fails halfway through and just leaves you with a white screen. So I really don't know what to do. It's one of those things that I don't really have many coding friends. So when I get stuck on things like this, I don't really have many places to turn to. Most people just think I'm. Yeah, but even everything that Stack Exchange has said has just not worked. And if I try and talk about it to certain people, they just look at me like, "What are you on about?" So I think it was more trouble than it's worth. So we're just going to stick with going through the email addresses for the time being, I think.
So I've got a little bit of news, very different to what we're talking about right now. But it references Doom Eternal, which obviously drops in 12 days. Well, really, 11 days. They have announced they haven't announced, it's been released about the day one patch. So version 1.01, which can be preloaded now, I believe. I don't know if every platform can do it. Obviously, we don't need to worry about that. It's going to be 5 gig. So even for those people that get it on whatever time they're able to go and get it from, they're still going to have to go at home and access probably a rather busy server load to get a short-ish, actually, download. But we're not going to have that problem. We're going to be able to just literally buy it and play it. There will be undoubtedly Stadia players playing that game before anybody else in the general public that don't have early access copies.
I would doubt that.
Did you guys want to talk about something?
Oh, no, sorry. The thing of Tommy there is I don't think we're going to get it till 5 o'clock. I think they're going to not give us the release. They're going to go American time, Pacific time, so it'll be 5 o'clock UK time. We're going to get Doom Eternal. I have voiced my concerns about this, and my concerns have been noted, and they're hopefully going to tell us for sure when Doom Eternal is coming out.
See, I kind of assumed that because this was the first real big AAA game that hits this platform that is brand spanking new, that it would just be regional rather than one time for everything.
From what I'm seeing and hearing, I think it's going to be 5 o'clock our time. And I've already voiced my opinion on this.
By the way, you're fired as the community manager already if that happens.
Yes, I know. I have let the whole side down. I apologize. But I voiced my concerns about this. Even if you need to come out this week and say Doom Eternal is coming out 5 o'clock UK time, even just to let us know, because I did mention, and you've basically made my point for me, as you thought it was coming out at 12 o'clock our time. It's not. And what I was saying to them was they need to tell us, because there will be people taking the day off to play Doom Eternal, and if they can't play it, they're going to kick up a massive fuss, and it's going to create a massive media storm. This is just something to... this is an easy sort of thing to do. Just let us know what time it's coming out at.
Thing is a double-edged sword, because you've got those people that obviously will take the day off work and they will want to be playing it at 9 o'clock in the morning, for example. If they then release the game at 9 o'clock in the morning, you're going to get those people that didn't take the day off work that'll be going, I mean, I've got to wait until 5 o'clock to play that game now. So, but they do need to be consistent, and I think it's always annoyed me that, for example, when they release something at the same time globally, you know what I mean, and we end up having to wait until, for example, it's morning time in America, by which time our day's nearly coming to an end. Why have we got to wait so long? Surely you could just release it to us.
Just to get on this, it's just no rhyme and reason. What happened this week? My head is just gone. This is just flying all the news and stuff. What happened last Sunday? What time did the games drop?
Can't remember.
They didn't drop at 5 o'clock. They dropped at 12 midnight PST. There's just no rhyme and reason. There's no consistency with the way they're dropping games.
Maybe they've hired Gaben, and we've just now moved to Valve time.
Okay.
Our Lord and Savior.
So I get that, like, for example, if you've got a game that everyone's been like waiting for, and they release it in the UK first, people then might start streaming it, and you know what I mean, have spoilers on YouTube for people that are still having to wait, because even though it's, you know what I mean, 9 o'clock in the morning for us, there might be some late people staying up in America, for example, and they see that stream and they ruin it for themselves. But in my opinion, that's your fault for watching the stream.
Yeah, so I agree with that. I don't understand how people ever do that. Like, you click the link to watch that. You didn't want to see it, don't click the link. That's,
for me, all they just need to do is just tell us, and don't tell us the day before. Just give us a week's notice. That will be fine. Just tell us what time it's going to be dropping. It's just a simple communication thing, which is not rocket science.
Or just keep it consistent for every game.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know whether or not publishers have any say in these kind of things, because I understand that if you're a development team that are based in America, that obviously you're going to want to cater to your own time zones before the rest of the world, and it's been issues where you have the global release, whereby I did it with Sea of Thieves. I set myself as being in Australia so that I could play that game before everybody else. And it worked. And I guess that is an issue, but I don't think you can change that on Stadia anyway. Like, you can't do it on Xbox anymore. It's not a thing. You can change your locale, but it doesn't affect that. I think it takes 30 days to do it. So it's a good way of avoiding that. But I don't know. I just feel like it doesn't really matter. If you're going to do it on a global scale, don't say at midnight in your own time zone. Just go, right, the game is going to go live at this time, which translates to this GMT, this PST, this EST, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody has access from the same time. Yes, there are going to be times where we're going to see a game go live at 4 in the morning, and there are going to be times where we see a game go live at 11 at night. But it doesn't really matter. It just means that everyone has the same equal access to a game.
Well, do you remember the days when you used to go queue up outside a game at midnight to get the latest Call of Duty and stuff like that? I mean, I've only done it on occasion, but like, you could play that game from the moment you took that home and installed it, obviously.
Even better than that, when pre-orders used to come a day or two before the release date, that was a reason for pre-ordering a game. You knew that was going to come through your door at least the day before you could go to the shop and pick it up.
Yeah, but then if you remember, obviously you'd pick up your pre-order from game at midnight, but then if you wanted to purchase that game on the digital store, for example, I mean, it wasn't on the store until probably 9 o'clock the following morning. So you almost got like a full 9 hours of playing that game before anybody else would. So it's not like this is a new thing.
Yeah, I think it's as long as you communicate it, people will understand. They just have to come out and say, "This is what's happening."
Yeah.
And don't leave it to the last minute or do the usual, put their head into the sand there and not listen. They need to get this going.
Yeah, they're always going to upset people, but I don't think that's the real issue. Is that you upset a lot more people by not saying anything than you do by just disappointing the few that were really hoping that they were going to get it at midnight.
Mm. So, what do you guys think about Epic and GeForce Cloud partnering up to keep Fortnite off Stadia?
I wouldn't say they're teaming up to keep it off Stadia. I think this is a bit of a negotiating position for Epic as well to try and get it cheaper, because that's all he's after. He's after a lower commission, because it's going to be this flat 30%, and he's wanting it to be lower. This is Tim Sweeney we're talking about in his comments. What I always say with this Epic stuff is always claim your free games, because you never know what will happen down the line. I want to put my thing out there, because 2 weeks ago that was Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is a brilliant game, and I've got that, and I can play it on GeForce now if I want. I'll let someone else jump in now before I go off on a rant.
So specifically relating it to Fortnite, I think is a bargaining tool for Epic. I don't think it matters to anybody else around the globe. Obviously they own the game, so it makes sense for them to put it through one additional channel and not everything. And I think he, like I say, Tim is getting probably a nice little backhander from Nvidia on that as well, just to sweeten the deal for him. But I mean,
can I just bring in something up here, just as you're talking? What store they're going through to play Fortnite? They're hooking up the Epic store, so there is no middleman. They're getting 100% of the money there.
Yeah, and I mean, GeForce Now, as far as we know so far, doesn't give anything to any of the developers anyway, and I think that's what the big issue has been, hasn't it? People are playing their games through some other platform that isn't licensed and isn't paying in any way, shape or form. But I mean, something like Fortnite, where all of the money is made from in-game anyway, I don't know. I don't really care for the fact that it's gone to GeForce Now. As within the discussions that we were having earlier on Twitter, I don't play Fortnite. I have nothing to be loyal about. I've tried to play the game a few times and it's just not for me. But I do think that it could have been an important game to have on the platform, but only because as it stands, Stadia is the only platform that doesn't have Fortnite. That's why I find it an important thing that it's being kept away as a bargaining tool, not for any other reason. You can play this on every phone pretty much. You can play it on the Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, but you can't play it on Stadia.
The point I would say, it's not a reason for you to play on Stadia, but it's a reason for you not to play on Stadia.
Yeah.
If you understand what I'm saying there, it's not a big draw for it, but it would stop people to actually stop playing Stadia, and it is a massive game. If you just look at the numbers of it, I think I seen something today that the top DLCs of all 2019 on the PlayStation Store, the top 10 was all Fortnite DLC.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are definitely dwindling when you compare to what it was, but that's natural, right? The game is not new. People are going to fall off the player base.
What happened a couple of months ago with the season 2, is it season 2 or whatever, I'm not a Fortnite player, and the black hole, and that just shot the numbers back up again, and it became the number one talking thing in the gaming community. Yes, it's down again. They just have to do something else, and it's going to be it's going to go.
Yeah, it's a free-to-play title that has done something that before this, basically everybody was told that that's impossible. Like Battlefield PlayerUnknown, when that launched, took the world by storm, and I think the only reason that was knocked off initially was that the next version of it was free. I think a lot of work went in after that, but just the fact that you could then play Battle Royale just kind of cropped up overnight almost, didn't it? I mean, there were probably like 4 or 5 games all competing for that space at one point.
Yeah, it's like for me, I've never been a fan of Fortnite at all. Tried it a few times, including when they added the Avengers Endgame stuff into it, just to see what it's like to be Thanos.
Yeah, that was actually quite fun. That was the first time I'd ever played it, and I got to be Thanos. I got the gauntlet pretty early on, and I died literally the first person I saw. I was like, this game is not for me.
But it's like with GeForce now, a lot of the top publishers have disappeared. So I can see why they're trying to get Fortnite itself on there being an extremely popular game, try to bring more people in, which obviously a game like that you'd be playing for hours at a time, which would then be a lot more people getting the pro version.
It's called Founder at the moment, but I don't think it's going to stay that. I
Yeah.
think that is for the deal, isn't it?
With this Fortnite news, I don't think the Fortnite news is the big news. It's the Epic Game Store, and I can see a lot of them games, the free games, being allowed straight on to GeForce now, and that's how they're going to build their library up, and it's going to be free. And there's some absolute bangers of games which have been free in the Epic Store. Like you had Assassin's Creed last week, then you had Kingdom Come the week before. There has been, my Epic library is nuts, and I haven't spent a penny in the Epic Game Store.
Yeah, I've bought one game, and that was Borderlands.
I do see that might become one of their policies, that if you're coming on the Epic Game Store, you have to allow it on.
GeForce Now.
Yeah.
Now that would be interesting, wouldn't it? Because
in the small print somewhere, because I know they're a bit sneaky at times, because some of these games, which are the free games, are indie games, and you're getting a fair bit of money for it. So I don't think it's going to be that from the realms of possibility. It's more going to be the bigger games, which that may happen.
Throw a spanner in the works on that. If that was something that they were planning on, they've just shot themselves in the foot, because 2K have just removed all of their games.
I mean, from that going forward now.
Yeah, but this was like what, yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah, with them pulling it.
So but you're absolutely right. There could be something in there that they've spoken to people about, and 2K have just turned around and gone, absolutely not. See ya. Because Epic has I don't know about the official numbers, but I feel like Epic is slowly losing grip again, because it's becoming not a new thing. So yes, there are lots of developers that want to put their games out there, but we're not seeing the same level of exclusivity that we were 6 months ago. Every game that was released that was coming to PC was purely branded under Epic for at least a year, and now we're seeing less of that. And I think that maybe the developers are starting to realize that whilst they make more money per sale, they are making significantly less sales than they would for that game being on Steam still.
Yeah, I think a lot of them deals in the early days where it's just to get the foot in the door for the Epic Game Store, and it's established now. I'm just looking at my games list here. I haven't paid for a game here. I've got The Witness, Ukulele, The Impossible There. I'm sorry at the bottom here.
Just out of interest, how many of the games have you actually played, like significantly played?
None.
I'm just glad to see that I'm on the same boat. I get every free game that comes out, and I haven't played any of them.
It's the same with me on Xbox Live Gold as well.
Yeah.
It's just because you never know what will happen in the future. Imagine if that Epic Game Store goes onto your TV nice and easy. I know I would be playing Assassin's Creed on it, or play The Witness on it. What else? I'll play Ukulele on it. I'm just going through this here quickly. The Lego games that we give a blast on it. Oh, there's Metro on there as well. There's, like I said, there's some apps. Darksiders.
So Metro was another one of the pains for Steam, wasn't it? It was PR launch,
Yep.
everything coming to Steam, and last minute, yeah, we're not coming to Steam for a year. And I'm really, really surprised that Steam didn't go for them on that. I think the only thing that probably put them off of that was scaring other developers away. But I almost feel like they could have closed Epic down. Well, not closed them down. Tencent have funded them. They're never going to close them down. But I feel like they could have kept a lot more traction had they actually gone after somebody like that, because it would have probably almost bankrupted them to have been attacked by Steam like that. You've told people the game's coming. I know they honoured the game on the platform for the people that pre-ordered, but there aren't many industries that you could get away with that in today. You couldn't say that this is coming and then literally a week beforehand just pull it and put it somewhere else.
No, you couldn't.
GeForce still can't add pool games even if the Epic Store. So there's any outside Fortnite would just be indies. Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, the fact that Borderlands has just disappeared, I think, isn't it funny that that game is due to drop on Steam literally any day? Is it the end of this week that it drops on Steam, and it's miraculously disappeared from GFN?
Yeah.
There's something underlying happening with that service that developers are not happy about, and it can't be as simple as they didn't ask us for that game, because the fact that you can't buy a game through GFN, you've already bought the game through whatever platform you're playing it on. You've made the legal purchase. There has to be something else underlying in this that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, there is something weird, because why would you pull a game from a service where it's actually going to be, you're going to be getting the money anyway? And especially if this Epic store gets added, because you know the developers get a bigger cut through the Epic store rather than through Steam.
So the comment that's just come up, and I apologise, I never know how to say the name. Rector's comment: devs are not getting a cut. How could they be happy? But not getting a cut of what? Because you've already had to buy the game to play it. So they've already been paid for the game.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you've already bought it, it's almost like the whole argument of trading in games as well. It's just obviously this is just in a cloud environment rather than a physical environment, really, isn't it? So,
Yeah, it's the same as Shadow. They haven't had this issue.
I was thinking about this when we were discussing it. Shadow hasn't had this issue yet, I think. Shadow has had, sorry, I rephrased slightly. Shadow has had issues with Activision Blizzard and getting access to them games, because it's actually in their terms and conditions about cloud server. They eventually got rounded, but it may end up getting pulled again.
Nvidia building a service off their games.
I can see them maybe trying to evolve somewhat and making their own service where you can buy the games if that is the issue.
Don't Nvidia only make money off that from the non-free subscriptions though?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's their only source of income.
So surely one quick way to remedy this would be to give the developers a cut of that pro subscription.
But then we're making the money.
Have to work out the ins and outs of what percentages, but if you consider the fact that you've just said people have already gone and bought their game, so you know what I mean, they've already made the money. The developers have already made the money. This could be just almost like a courtesy thing to say, look, we will give you a percentage of anybody that plays it through our pro subscriptions.
I guess the difficulty is
Needn't
if
be much.
somebody subscribes but doesn't play your game, how do you divvy that up? It'd almost like be that they just have to take it off the baseline of whatever their profit is at the end of the year, that they pay every developer that works with them X amount, and that could be seriously costly.
Well, surely they must know who's playing what. I mean, it's the same as Spotify. I mean, they obviously the artists get paid when you listen to their songs, so they know who's listening to what in order to pay the relevant artists. So surely GeForce
True.
Now would know what they were paying, what they were playing, so they could say, well, you had X amount of players this month, therefore, you know what I mean, however many % of the money that we've made would go to you.
Yeah.
GeForce Now Source.
You joke, I bet that exists.
I just realised the other day that there's a PlayStation Source.
Yes, there
And
is.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for them to for the right price. I might give up the name. You have to cough up to use these people's content to create your service. Exactly, and that's what I mean about giving them a small percentage. It needn't be much. Obviously, they can work out the ins and outs, and as long as they're not asking for too much.
Well, Spotify makes an awful lot of money and pays an awful pittance of money out. That's why we've seen a couple of years, well, more than a couple of years ago, we've seen a lot of artists leave that platform for that reason. I remember hearing about it in the news because Taylor Swift pulled her entire back catalogue out based on how little money she was getting from it. But I understand it from, like you say, from a business point of view. If you're getting the equivalent to a couple of pence per day that somebody's playing your game, but you're not making that money once they bought the game anyway, that's the thing I struggle with.
And here's the thing for you: I have bought games on my PC. If I play them on my Mac, should I be paying them? Should I have to pay for them again, even if they've got Mac support? It's a different platform, different service.
Yes, because Mac people aren't real gamers.
Yeah.
See, I did try that kind of thing a month or two ago with mine. My sister's fiance was playing the Jurassic World game where you make your park and you hatch all the dinosaurs and all that. And it made me really want to play Spore, which through Steam is only available on PC. So getting through contact with EA, if I then use the same codes with their system, it would then activate the game for me. So it could be something like that.
See, this is why I think there is something else going on behind the scenes, and they're just maybe using this as a cover story.
Yeah, I think there has to be more to it than what we can see, as generally there is.
Because we have to buy the game somewhere, so they're always going to get their cut. Because they have to go for an official service like Steam or Uplay, and now the Epic Game Store. So you have to actually buy the games. It's not like on PC you could go and try and find them somewhere, or someone gives you a copy of GOG or whatever. You actually have to buy the game somewhere, so they will always get their money.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like this is too much of a thing purely based off of greed for £4, whatever it is, a month. Is it £4? £6? £5? Just get around it. But yeah, so for £5 a month, I know they've got a big player base now, but
bigger than Stadia.
yeah, and to be fair, it's always going to be, right, because of the catalog that's available. But I know a lot of people have said it, and it's kind of getting like it's old news that they're not the same thing. They don't compare. One is a platform, one is just a remote service, essentially.
Bingo.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why I never seen it as competition, and why I don't understand why they got such a hard time from other people. I use both. If I'm not playing something on Stadia, even if I've got the game locally, I actually tend to just run it through GFN because it's simple, it's less taxing, and generally speaking, it looks better than what it does on my computer now if it's a new game.
Yeah. The five random dudes just said £5 on introductory rate. Yep, it is. If all my Steam games were on GeForce Now, or the vast majority of them, I would happily pay the same price as I'm paying for Pro, or maybe a bit more, because I have a reasonably sizable Steam collection. But again, it all comes down to the TV play. TV play for me, because I'm a lazy so-and-so now, is the most important thing. And I don't want to be dropping, 250 quid on, what's it called? The Shield?
Shield, yeah.
To do it.
Becoming kind of redundant at this point.
Yeah. And did someone tell me that it's actually got like a Chromecast type device in it as well?
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
What about Shadow? Is Shadow a backdoor service? It just opens up all these sort of questions.
The problem that you have is if you take away the business side of it and you just remote it into your own computer, say you're at work and you remote it into your own home PC and play the game, you've done the same thing.
Well, yeah, with Shadow, you're just buying access to a computer, which is then yours, and streaming that remote. You're effectively remote desktoping onto that computer.
Yep, you are.
And could you not argue that GFN is the same, except you don't have access to everything else? You are locked purely into a GUI, into your own accounts. That's what is. There's a grey area there, isn't there? Like Shadow, you can do whatever you want with that. It is just a full PC that you have access to remotely. Whereas GFN is, they've allowed you. It'd be like allowing you only access to the D drive, and if you didn't have whatever you wanted on there, you couldn't do it. I just feel like there has to be more to it. I don't think people would kick up this much fuss over what it is.
Yeah, because the entry level is so low, you would think there would be going, come here.
For it. Yeah, exactly.
I think the 3,000, there's a 3,000 game within this, but obviously they're going to be mostly indie games. It's the game that we were saying about Fortnite. The big games do matter. It doesn't. You can have all the indie games all under the sun, but you still need your. I forgot the term. Don't want to say popcorn games, because that's someone uses uses that as a different thing. But it's the big hitters every year: the FIFAs, the Call of Duties, the Maddens, your Borderlands. Every couple of years, you need your big AAA games on the surface as well. So, again, going back to Stadia here, this is my big worry about the autumn time, will we see these games on Stadia? If not, GeForce Now just looks about the same as Stadia. Plus, you've got the cheaper prices.
Interesting topics of conversation. So I want to start wrapping this up pretty soon, because we're approaching 2 hours, which it doesn't feel like it.
No, it doesn't.
So thank you for everyone that's obviously stuck with us as well on this one.
And there's a big disappointment about tonight.
Go on.
Doom.
No cat.
Yeah, I know. We've got fish now, though.
I can fix it. Yeah, I've got fish.
Go get it.
Can we name the fish?
Yes, other than one of them, because it's already named.
Dave.
Which one? You can only see two.
I think we should let the comments decide.
Here's my little lion. It's not actually mine, but speak.
I can actually hear that.
It's made more sense than I have tonight.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you want to name the fish.
I'm taking that first comment. Thanks, guys. The fish's name.
Thanks, guys. One with the most one with the most thumbs up at the end of the week gets to name the fish.
Don't subscribe to Stadia Arcadia.
Damn you.
So my chat has gone ahead and done that thing that happened last time now, so I can't see the most recent chats. I'm currently stuck at GFN sells themselves as game service.
I can see from the beginning. So there's probably a couple more that I just want to pop up just to cut. We might as well make it up to 2 hours at the top. So what games are you guys most excited to come into Stadia? Personally, the Avengers one. I don't know why, but I've been watching that back recently, and I don't know, I just want to fly around as Iron Man.
Yeah, for me, the three are the Avengers, Destroy All Humans, and Cyberpunk 2077.
Cyberpunk. There's no other question there for me. Cyberpunk is my number one game. Yeah.
See, I really want to play it. Undoubtedly, it looks good. I'm still reserved for how the rest of the game plays once you get over how it looks, and that's purely based on what the studio. I shouldn't do this. This is the wrong thing to do, but their previous work does not lend themselves to what this game is. So I just hope that it works and continues the legacy of what they can do, and it doesn't get to a point where people get over the visuals of what the game looks like and they're like, yeah, that was all right, and we never see it again. So, but I am very much looking forward to that game. And Doom Eternal, I'm really looking forward to that. I love the Doom games. I've played them since I was far too young to play a Doom game. But I think they're currently the Avengers I'm looking forward to, and that's just because we haven't had a good game like that. I mean, the Lego game was all right, and the fact that you could like switch in between so many characters was cool, but this is going to feel more real, and I think it's going to be an incredibly easy game, but I'm really okay with that. I just want to jump into that game to have that sense of fun about it and it not be a serious game at all, and you get to take over the Hulk and literally just rip things apart and throw things.
What more do you want?
Yeah, exactly. And Iron Man is going to be awesome. It's going to make you feel really overpowered, and I think that's what that kind of game needs. It just needs to give you that distance from reality, and that would do fine for me anyway. It kind of reminds me of, I'm sure somebody would have played the Superman game on the Xbox. It wasn't a great game, but it did the right things. It just allowed you to just have fun with superpowers.
I was thinking more Prototype.
Yeah, Prototype. And actually, Prototype's really weird because that kind of gives you everything really quickly. It's like most of the time, these games you build up slowly, and like the final hour of the game, you feel overpowered. You are launched into that game with do what you want. There's a tank coming, just destroy it. You haven't got to worry about that.
I'm even tempted to go back and play that now, actually.
I'll take away the boring Cyberpunk. If Cyberpunk's off the table, it will be Gods and Monsters for me. Also, probably unannounced, I'm a big Assassin's Creed fan. It'll be the new Assassin's Creed this year. And I'm going to put it out there. I think we're getting a Stadia exclusive, proper exclusive this at the end of this year as well. I don't think it's going to be a big game. I think it's been... so
predictions by Duncan.
Predictions by Duncan, yes.
You're going to have prediction every round table.
Do you want me to have a prediction every round table?
Every round table from now. It needs to be a regular thing.
Okay, prediction.
We'll have a section called How Right Was Duncan?
And it's going to be a percentage of negative 10%.
Or make a theme tune.
Oh.
Yeah, can you do theme tunes in this?
Yeah, but I think we are going to get a proper Stadia sort of exclusive or slightly bigger than what we've been getting here, though the indies for a year. I think if we may get something pretty substantial as a exclusive. I'm thinking like Tomb Raider sort of level.
Joust.
That looks-
Wow.
I didn't read the bottom bit of that. Actually, I was still reading it. I'll see a bunch of classic arcade games remade with new graphics. Joust.
There's actually a new studio has just been created to do that, and it's just went up in my head. They're reimagining all the retro games, and I've sent them a wee email to get onto their mailing list. I've got my eye on them. So what you're actually asking for there is underway.
Reimagining is a dangerous word, though.
It is. But Final Fantasy VII worked out well.
So far.
Resident Evil.
I tell you what is cool about Resident Evil 3 is that they are taking away the whole safe zone thing now.
Safe, yeah.
Nemesis can literally come to any point in the game. And
No, as far as I know, there is safe zones. That actual Xbox article was wrong. Also, they've came by and said there is safe zones. It's just the person thought he wasn't in a safe zone when he actually wasn't.
I hope they undo it now and just change it.
So just Nemesis were waiting outside the door like, come on, save your game, heal up. Let's get this over and done with. This before.
I was really excited by the fact that there was no safe zone. I'm not buying it now.
Don't subscribe to Resident Evil.
No, I actually have a worry about that game, and that is that the success of 2 is going to stop 3 from being as good. I feel like
to me, they were always kind of the same game because they appeared at the same time as one another in the storyline.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. They run pretty much in tandem, don't they? But I just think that 2 was really good. I think a lot of people liked it because a lot of people have missed a good Resident Evil game as well. And it did all the right things, but I don't think 3 is going to be different enough to keep that feeling going. I think people are going to be a little bit more like, yeah, it was all right. It's just like 2, really, wasn't it?
Well,
I
2
think
was
it's
better than
strange.
3 on the PlayStation 1 anyway, if you ask me, because you had Leon and Claire, A and B. There was a lot more to play through than what there was just Resident Evil 3, where you only get one character and one kind of side of the story. So
I think it's just came out too soon. I think they should have left it a while. Because we had Resident Evil 7, then we've got 2, and then we're getting hit with this. I think a bit of breathing space, people would have anticipated a bit more, maybe even pushed into the next gen.
I've just, because of Charles's comment, something that's just come back into my memory that I wanted to ask on this podcast. It came to me on Friday. With Horizon Zero Dawn not being a Sony exclusive now, do you think that game could come to Stadia?
Exclusive. They're still owned by them. This is them just expanding. This is them getting themselves set up for the future.
But there's a lot of movement and rumor about it coming to PC. If it comes
yeah, it's coming to PC. That's nailed on. It's them starting to do this, just like how the sort of like you just talked about them earlier. What's the name of them? The guy you called Atul. And we're not talking about me.
Quantic Dreams.
Quantic.
He's called Dave, I think. David, probably not Dave.
David Cage. They're like their games to go into PC as well. So they're just starting to. It's just them open up the door for the future when there is no Sony PlayStation.
I was going to say, do you think this is like a loss from Sony, or just that people are wanting to branch out a little bit more?
I think it's clever by Sony. So we haven't heard what is coming this year PS4, PlayStation 5, or even early next year. And I think it's time for Horizon Zero Dawn 2. And you get it onto PC, you'll get the PC people happy. It will generate some hype there, and that might actually entice some of the PC users to get the PS5 to get the next one. I think there's lots of moving pieces, and I also think it's setting it up for the future when they decide to branch out even further.
I also wouldn't be surprised if when we see console exclusives that they don't actually count the PC as part of that in the future.
Microsoft already don't, and I don't think Sony will be now as well.
So why don't you have dogs, guys?
I used to.
This is obviously the most important question of the entire night.
Obviously. 'Cause
Okay, I will answer this nice and easily. I hate all pets.
And I don't subscribe to Duncan anymore.
We've just lost all of our animal following.
And while you lot are going to be scavenging for food after Corona hits everyone, Tom is going to be there with his fish. If need be, he's sorted.
I also find it weird that the person that hates pets is the one that's dressed as a Wookiee.
Yep. Again, skills.
It's a friend, not a pet.
That's when you realise it was actually made out of a pet.
Skinned and all.
So I think that's pretty much all of the comments that are worth talking about. So is there anything else you guys want to add before we close up?
The final comment.
The cat ate the dog. I'd love to see that.
Are we talking like domestic cats?
Lions.
There's probably quite a few
tigers.
lions that have eaten dogs.
So do any of you guys want to plug your channels again? Or your Twitter handles? So obviously you can find me on Stadia Source.
He's muted.
Is he muted?
Yeah.
Was he trying to plug himself then?
I think he was trying to distract people from you.
Okay, go ahead, Duncan. The stage is yours.
Go away and. Okay.
Procreate.
Yes, go forth and multiply. If you really want to follow me, I'm on to Escape on Twitter. And don't subscribe to Stadia Arcadia.
And I think
Doing
he
it on
knows.
purpose.
Okay.
So yeah, you can find me on Stadia Source, obviously, and my Twitter handle is _x2i_. And if you want to add me on Stadia, it's x2i, and we'll have a game sometimes. I need to actually play more games than what I have been playing, so shoot me a message and we'll play something.
And I'm Lord Moore on everything.
On everything?
Everything.
Everything. Even
And
in
start
real life.
You are?
What you say, Duncan?
Lots of jokes, but we will not go down.
That's what
Right.
she said.
Oh, I'm
Exactly.
wrapping this up now. Right, thank you for everyone for joining this roundtable. I hope you've had a good time, and we will see you on that next one. Goodbye, guys.
Don't subscribe to the Stadia Arcadia.
Or Lord Moore.